Hey folks, Michael Anthony here, Exceptional Life Podcast, baby. Back for another episode, finally. I been meaning to put another video out here for a few weeks now. I did have one out, I guess a little over a week ago, but this one in particular, which is Superpower number 2. I've been wanting to get out here for the past month, but I've been so busy. It's November, it's mid-November, it's my time of the year. It's one of my favorite times of the year. In fact, I'm sitting here on the deck and it's in the low 40s, typical autumn weather, and I love it. I'm a big outdoorsman. I've been archery hunting. I've been stocking the freezer with clean, quality, organic meat straight from the woods to the table, baby. It's been great. It's been awesome. Been so blessed and grateful to have a phenomenal year, both in the woods and out in life. So finally getting this video out, but we're going to talk about Superpower number 2. And Superpower number 2 is breath work, baby. Breath work. The power of the breath. Oh, man. I'm sure you've heard of deep abdominal breathing, different types of breathing exercises, stuff like that. Perhaps you've heard of Wim Hof or the Wim Hof Method. Hopefully. If not, you're going to hear about it today. And the power of the breath is so significant in everyday life. All the functions of the body, all of the systems of the body are affected by the breath. I mean, let's think about it. Think about how important breathing is to the human body. I mean, we could only go, several minutes without breathing, and we would be dead if we didn't breathe. And think about that. Think about other requirements of the human body, such as food. You could go weeks, months without food before you perish. Water, you could go, days, maybe a couple weeks without water. But breathing, oxygen, you could only go several minutes before you're out, before you go unconscious, and then the next step is death. So it's imperative to the function of the body. It's incredibly important. And how you breathe, the way you breathe, affects everything in the human body. And I learned that. In fact, the Wim Hof breathing method was the gateway to all other mindful activities that I practice on a daily basis. If it wasn't for breathing, and specifically the Wim Hof breathing method, I wouldn't be the person I am today. If it wasn't for the Wim Hof breathing method, I wouldn't be practicing the daily rituals and practices I have today that have completely enhanced my life to the point where I'm living an exceptional life, intentionally doing the things I want to do, going for the things I want to go, manifesting the things I want to manifest, growing, expanding, becoming a better human being. If it wasn't for the Wim Hof breathing method, I would have never gone on this journey of self-improvement, personal development, improving my health, well-being, relationships, career, so on and so forth. And so I need to shine a bright and powerful light on breath work, specifically the Wim Hof breathing method. It truly is a superpower, in my opinion, and I think everybody out there should investigate different types of breathing techniques and breath work and learn about how powerful they are for you, for the human body, for your life, and how it enhances everything in your life. So there's a loud truck going up the road over there. I apologize if it's a little windy. It is a little windy. It's evening time here. The winds have picked up. It's going to be dark in less than an hour. There's a helicopter coming in. You might hear that. So there's all sorts of things going on out here, but I just love getting out in this cool, invigorating air. It feels great. It feels wonderful. And I wanted to film this video up here. So you can definitely hear that helicopter coming in. So we're going to pause and let that pass on by. Take a sip of my coffee while I wait. Maybe take a deep breath. Okay, anyway, so back to breath work. So if you looked up breath work, if you did a Google search for breath work, there are all sorts of different types of breathing techniques for different purposes, all sorts of different names. Some of them are real fancy names and whatnot, and they're all great. They're all great, and a lot of them do the same thing. A lot of them are for rest and relaxation. Other breathing methods are for healing or calming down inflammation, supporting the immune system. Other breath work is specifically for meditation or yoga, or just enhancing your conditioning and physical activity. So there's all sorts of different types of breathing exercises, and I highly suggest that you start to look into them. There's lots of great books, lots of great videos, and plenty of great experts out there on the topic of breathing and breath work. So maybe a good place to start is with, what are your goals? What would you love to accomplish? And just list out any type of goals, because really breathwork can enhance all sorts of areas of your life. So with that said, I'm going to talk specifically about a couple of different breathing techniques. One of them is the Wim Hof breathing method. It is an active, rapid breath work that stimulates a stress response in the body, and it does many things from a physiological standpoint that allow you to live a more enhanced, healthy, strong, happy life. And so I'll get a little bit into that, and specifically how it has affected my life. Some other breathwork techniques are going to be things like just deep abdominal breathing, just regular deep abdominal breathing that I've discussed many times in some of my other videos. I use it as a precursor to meditation. I use it to calm myself down in stressful situations, stressful conversations, areas where I might be getting a bit triggered, or just throughout the day. I randomly practice the breath work because I've made it a habit, and it gives you so much more control of your life, of your emotions, allows you to be more grounded, make better decisions, and it allows you to be more creative. It allows you to be smarter and more intelligent. And science has proven that, because when you're in a stressful state, you're shuttling blood away from certain areas of your body and out to your limbs, so you're ready for fight or flight. It's taking blood away from the brain, from the stomach, the internal organs, and it's pushing all that rich oxygenated blood into your hands, your feet, your legs. It gets you ready for fighting or flighting, right? So it makes sense. So if you're able to control that response and that breathing, you have more blood supply to the brain, to the internal organs, to your gut, the second brain, and it allows for you to make better decisions. So that's what I use the deep abdominal breathing for. So I really have two breathing techniques I like to use. The Wim Hof breathing method, I started training in that 2017, early 2017, around the beginning of the year. So it's been almost 4 years for me, and I do it pretty much on a daily basis. I don't like to miss even one day. Even if I only do one round of breathing, I still do it almost every day. And typically I aim for, 2, 3, 4 rounds of breathing. The more rounds, the better, right? Now, if you're not familiar with Wim Hof, you need to look him up. He is an amazing human being. He's quite the character. He has a great personality. He's very unique. He's funny, but also very intelligent. And he has quite the story of how he came to developing his technique and his background. So I highly suggest you look into him. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of videos out there with him doing interviews, teaching his breath work. His website, Inner Fire, they have free programs. They'll teach you about the breath work. It's very easy to learn. It's not hard to do, but they do have some paid courses. I did a 10-week paid course back in 2017 that I found highly valuable, and it was a very cheap price. And it not only teaches you the method, but also shows you the science, all of the peer-reviewed science, the experiments. There's even videos of the experiments and stuff you could find out there. So it's really a lot of powerful science and research behind it that he continues to pursue. He's working with universities constantly, doing different experiments, and they have a lot of great research on the power of his breathing technique. And as far as the benefits that people are seeing, so I want to talk about some of the benefits I've seen from his breathing technique. man, there's just so many. If I would have sat down and listed them all out, I probably would have 100 different items. But just off the top of my head, some of the things I noticed right away is this breathing technique. I started to notice psychophysiological changes within the first few days of doing it. After doing it 3-4 days in a row, I noticed a shift in my personality, in my consciousness, in my awareness. It was pretty remarkable. And I remember saying to my wife in the kitchen, I think I was after doing it just for a couple weeks, I remember going up to her and saying, I don't know what is happening to me, but something is happening, and it's awesome. And it really was. There was shifts taking place. There was new neural networks firing and wiring. Sorry, was interrupted by helicopters and trucks. And so I just took a sip of coffee and waited till they passed on by. Like I said, there was shifts happening to me, my mind, my body, everything. Even spiritually, I was feeling this intuitive shift. Like my brain was being upgraded. My life was being upgraded. I was firing and wiring new neural networks in my brain from doing this breathing technique and just spending, 5 minutes a day doing it. It was truly phenomenal. And as time went on, things just got better and better. But what was amazing about it is I noticed all of these really great benefits right away. And it started to open doors into other areas of my life that I started to expand and grow and improve. It led me to meditation. It led me to journaling. It led me to doing things I already knew how to do, but do them even better. For example, like health and fitness, diet and exercise have always been important to me, but because my mindset was so off in so many ways, it was really hard for me to maintain focus with diet and exercise. I would start things and stop things. I would procrastinate. I would use food as an escape. I would use alcohol as an escape. Well, all of that started to improve tremendously. I had lots of knowledge in health and fitness, but all of that started to expand, and I started to improve all of that. And just to give you an idea of where I'm at now compared to where I was over 265 pounds in 2017 when I started the Wim Hof Method. I now weigh 225 pounds. So I lost 40 pounds. I'm feeling phenomenal. I used to have gout really bad. It's a very terrible condition if you're not familiar with it. Causes tremendous amounts of pain in the joints. There's a lot of bad information out there about it. There's a lot of myths out there about what causes it and things like that. And I was trying different diets, and I was trying to improve my knowledge around nutrition, and I was having a little bit of luck, but then I'd have major gout attacks. Well, I haven't had a gout attack in over a year now, and that's pretty phenomenal considering I had terrible attacks every 2 to 3 months. Now, I'm not attributing all of this just to the Wim Hof breathing method, although there are lots of people with inflammatory conditions, autoimmune conditions who are doing the Wim Hof method who have completely reversed or improved their conditions. So there is some great anecdotal evidence. But for me, what was amazing about it was I started to improve all these areas of my life with the Wim Hof breathing method. But because of that Wim Hof breathing method and a shift in my mindset, a shift in my consciousness and my focus and my ability to self-regulate my emotions and whatnot, I was able to really start to enhance other areas of my life, including nutrition, my intuition, my creativity, my career, my relationships, my overall health and well-being. There's a helicopter taking off again. It's a busy night, baby. It's a busy night. So anyway, all other areas of my life kind of started to align. So that's when I really started to realize that everything's interconnected. Everything you do, you think, the way you eat, the way you breathe, the way you react, your mindset, your predominant thoughts and beliefs, everything's interconnected and affects your overall life in some way. And that's what the Wim Hof method taught me, was that I could have control over areas of my life I never thought I could have control over. It opened doors into areas of my life that I just never really thought about or wasn't aware of. So my self-awareness, my health and well-being, expanded tremendously. And now I've been living this amazing life, and I'm trying to share the information, the knowledge, the techniques with you guys that I've utilized to improve my life, because I see so many people suffering, so many people who are disempowered, and I feel like the practices I have, the daily rituals I have in my life could potentially help you as well. So I'm just here to tell you about what I've done, right? I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So obviously, maybe check with your doctors or whatever on any of this stuff. Listen to them. But I'm telling you, I've done this on my own. I've done it without the help of any experts. And I work with some great doctors now as it relates to health, and I'll talk more about that when I do some health and nutrition videos. But we're talking about breathing. So I'm going to steal a quote from my friend Robin Nickel, who I did an interview on this podcast with about a month or so ago. If you haven't watched that, definitely go watch it. It was a great interview. We spent about an hour talking, had a lot of fun. But she has this quote that breathwork is the gateway drug to mindfulness. And it really hits the nail on the head, because breathwork was the gateway drug for me to find mindfulness activities, and to continue enhancing my life. So breathwork is really a great door opener to improving all areas of your life. And I totally agree with that, because you see rapid results, you feel rapid results. It's a way to get high on your own supply in a matter of minutes, because when you do this Wim Hof rapid breathing method, you're having all sorts of physiological changes, hormones are getting released. There's a lot of things happening when you do the breath work, and you can go and learn all about that. Just, there's plenty of books and videos that tell you what happens when you do these types of breathing techniques. So go look it up. Now, that's the Wim Hof breathing method, and that's the benefits I've experienced. There's a lot of people out there. If you do a search on Google or YouTube, you can find a lot of people who've had other tremendous benefits from a health perspective, from a mindset perspective, that have completely turned their lives around because of the Wim Hof breathing method. Now, the other breathing method that I love to do, and I do on a daily basis, multiple times a day, is just deep abdominal breathing. And I've talked about this in other videos, and that's just simple. Just deep abdominal breathing, where you're breathing in, filling up your abdominal region, and then your chest, and then maybe pausing for a brief moment and slowly exhaling. So you're doing long, deep breaths, and that alone also gives you a very strong physiological response, and you can feel it because of the hormones that are being released. We're switching on that parasympathetic rest, relaxation, rejuvenation response in the body, which a lot of people don't even realize they can do, and it's very powerful. It allows you to have more self-regulation of your emotions, of your mindset, of how you're being triggered. And I've talked about this in other videos. And so that's the other breathing technique I use. And there's all sorts of variations of deep abdominal breathing out there. There's box breathing. There's another breathing technique I just learned recently that I actually do like, and I started to implement it. It's similar to the deep abdominal breathing, and it goes like this. You take 2 breaths in on one inhale, and then you exhale. So it's almost the same as just one deep inhale and exhale, but there's 2 breaths. And so it looks like this. I just learned that from a neuroscientist. I forget his name. He was talking about it, but it has to do with how your lungs are being filled and how they're triggering a physiological response in the body, and it allows you to quickly get into that self-regulated state of being. So it does the same thing as deep abdominal breathing, but it does it a little quicker. I don't know much about it. I have started to experiment with it, and I really do enjoy it. I feel my body shifting when I do it. So maybe look into that, give that a try. It goes like this again. I'll do it one more time. You know what, I'm going to do a couple rounds just so you can see it. So it goes like this. So I'm going to breathe in through my nose twice, filling up my stomach and chest, and then breathing out. So it goes like this. That's one inhale and exhale. And that's two. It feels really good. I can just feel my body warming up, and I can feel tingling throughout my body. It has to do with when you're inhaling nice and easy, and then you get that second little boost. You're really inflating the lungs to full capacity, and it allows for a quicker relaxation response or something to that nature. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's what it's doing, but regardless, it feels amazing, so do it. So that, in conjunction with the deep abdominal breathing, accomplishes the same thing. So just to reiterate, the Wim Hof breathing method, that's very rapid, controlled, sort of like hyperventilation. And I'll just do a couple breaths so you can see what it's all about. So it's going to be rapid in and out breathing. It looks like this. Oh yeah. You get a little lightheaded, you get real tingling, your senses really get focused. So it's very rapid breathing, and you're actually doing it 20, 30, 40 times. And you could see that I was breathing in through my mouth a few times, and then I was breathing in through my nose. It doesn't really matter. People do it different ways. Some people do it a combination like I do, which is the way I like to do it. Wim Hof does it a lot of times through his mouth, but sometimes you'll see him breathe through his nose. But it's very rapid, sort of like controlled hyperventilation, and the response is pretty immediate. After just doing several of those breaths, you're going to start to feel lightheaded. You start to feel tingling throughout your body. You're rapidly oxygenating your body. So there's a lot of things happening. And like I said, Wim Hof explains exactly what's going on. There's a lot of science and research to back it up. But that type of breathing is not meant for rest and relaxation per se. When you're doing that type of breathing, you actually are triggering a stress response. So after doing that multiple times, and then you're holding your breath at the end of it, that's the second part of the breath work. You do 20, 30, 40 breaths, and then you hold your breath for as long as you can. You have a stress response. You're releasing adrenaline and other hormones. And what's powerful about it, though, is you do this over and over. You start to influence and sort of learn how to control the stress response, the autonomic nervous system. You start to learn how to be in more control of your body, of your mind, when you're in a stressful situation. So there's a tremendous amount of value and benefits that come from it, right? It's like almost like a hormetic stress response that you're using to build more awareness, more control, a better mindset, better health. And the cool thing is, one of those experiments, if you look it up, you can find it. They injected Wim Hof practitioners and Wim Hof as well with an endotoxin. I believe it was E. coli, and they had a control group that they also injected, and the Wim Hof practitioners didn't get sick, and they did the breathing technique after they got injected, whereas the control group didn't do anything. And the control group, they all got sick for a few days. And so what they found was that breathing, because of your ability to influence the immune system, to suppress negative symptoms and things like that, you actually have more control over how your body's responding to stressful situations, like a virus or bacteria or sickness or something like that. And don't quote me on this, but I don't know the exact mechanisms, but I remember a scientist talking about this, and he explained that under that type of stress response, when the adrenaline's getting released, you're doing that type of breath work over and over for several rounds. You're actually releasing, I believe they're called killer T cells. Those are the cells that are badass. They're in your body, and they go out and they protect you from viruses and stuff like that. They fight off the bad guys that are trying to infiltrate. It's pretty amazing stuff. So I'm not a scientist or doctor. I don't know all the mechanisms around this. I have a basic understanding of it, but I can tell you that there are times where I was feeling a little sick, and I've done the breathing, and it helped me tremendously. So there's great research and science on it, so definitely go look it up. But if you do it on a daily basis, you're definitely going to see the benefits. I haven't heard of anybody doing the Wim Hof method daily and not seeing some sort of benefits from it. So the Wim Hof breathing method's amazing. I do it every day. And the deep abdominal breathing I do every day. I always do the deep abdominal breathing during my meditations. I do it just randomly throughout the day when I think of it. It's starting to get pretty dark out here. Looks like there's a cool sunset over there, but I got the light on so you can still see me. So the Wim Hof breathing method, as I mentioned, it's 20, 30, 40 rapid breaths in and out. At the end of that, once you get to 20, 30, or whatever number you're doing, you're going to do that full exhale, and then you're going to hold your breath with no air in your lungs. That's called a retention. And you can time it. You'd be surprised at how long you could hold your breath, especially after a couple rounds of doing this with no air in your lungs. And it's pretty impressive. I average anywhere from a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes on average. Now, another way to do it too, and Wim Hof explains the differences on this, and I think it has to do with if you're trying to combat inflammation or anything like that. Instead of doing a retention with a full exhale, you actually inhale on your last breath, and you hold a full inhale in your stomach, chest, and you could even hold your breath much longer. Now, there's some science behind which way to do it, with no air in the lungs and with air in the lungs. I do both. I just kind of mix it up from time to time. But when you hold a full breath in, you could actually hold your breath much longer. I've done almost 4 minutes when I hold the breath. So I'm anywhere from 2.5 to 4 minutes on a full breath in. So it's pretty impressive when you start to do this breath work. You start to learn a lot about yourself, a lot about your body, your capabilities, your limits, and you start to push those limits, and you start to experience tremendous growth and expansion, not only in your body but in your mind. So it's pretty amazing. Now, on the deep abdominal breathing, I do those every day. I do it when I meditate. I do it randomly throughout the day. I have some trigger items that trigger me to do it throughout the day, so I remember to do it. Like, for example, when I go to fill my water mug up at the refrigerator, it takes about a minute to fill it up completely, and so I actually do my deep abdominal breathing while I'm just standing there. All sorts of noises behind me there. We've had all sorts of noises today. Helicopters, trucks honking, there's dogs barking, some wood getting thrown around or something up there on the hill. Anyway, it's all good. So the deep abdominal breathing, you could spend as much time doing that. Just doing 3 or 4 deep abdominal breaths can completely shift your mood, your physiology, your state of being, and it's powerful. So maybe try to find some trigger items, like maybe when you get in your car, every time you come to a red light, focus on some deep abdominal breathing. I wouldn't do the Wim Hof breathing method while you're driving. In fact, only do the Wim Hof breathing method if you're seated in a comfortable position or laying down on a bed or on the floor, because you could pass out from that. I've never passed out, but you definitely, if you do several rounds of that breathing, then you will definitely get lightheaded, and people do pass out. So you're going to feel yourself shift into different states of consciousness. When you have your eyes closed and you're holding your breath, you may see lights. You may have tremendous emotions get released from your body. So there's a lot of things that could happen. So definitely research it before you try it. There's a lot of great books out there. In fact, when I started researching Wim Hof before I took his course, I read several of his books. Scott Carney has a great book. There's a few others that I have. And Jesse Coomer, he's a certified Wim Hof instructor out of Indiana. I've been following him for years on social media, and he just came out with a book, and I'm about halfway through it, and it's excellent. So check out Jesse Coomer, Jesse Midwestern Method. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. Really cool guy. I like him. And there's a lot of great resources out there. Like I said, Wim Hof has free courses through his app or on his website, so you can learn how to do this stuff right away and start to benefit from it. So that's all I got. There's all sorts of breath work out there. Find stuff that works for you. I highly suggest checking out Wim Hof Method. That's been pivotal for me in shifting my life, living an exceptional life, a better life, and I continue to do it on a daily basis. All right, so why don't we get into doing a couple rounds of Wim Hof breathing? What do you say? I'm gonna take a sip of coffee here. All right, I like to use his app because it is a counter. Okay, I'm just gonna do a round of the Wim Hof breathing method just to show you what it's all about, and maybe you could try it too. So feel free to try it with me. So I'm gonna do, maybe 20, 30 breaths, wrap it in and out. You're gonna see me interchange between mouth breathing and nose breathing. And then I'm gonna do the retention where I let all the air out of my lungs and then I hold my breath and then go from there. So I'm just gonna do one round just to show you what it's all about. There's, if you wanna try it with me, then try it with me. Just do it, just to get a feel for it. And don't be afraid if you start to feel a little lightheaded or whatever. Like I said, just be in a place where you're comfortable and you're not gonna fall over and hit your head, right? We don't want that happening. So let's go ahead and do it. Ready? Let's go ahead and do a round of the Wim Hof breathing method. Such an amazing technique. All right, here we go. I like to close my eyes. You don't have to, but I like to. All right. You could also lay down, which I do sometimes as well. Here we go. Love it. Love it. It feels great. So that was probably only maybe close to a minute on that retention. And another thing I forgot to mention is after you can't hold your breath any longer, then you take a deep inhale and you hold for 10, 15 seconds, and you really kind of tighten all your muscles and kind of envision pushing that breath up into your head, and it's just going to feel amazing. You might see lights, you might get lightheaded again. There's all sorts of things can happen, so see what happens. And you want to do more than one round. If I'm strapped for time, I might only do 1 or 2 rounds, but ideally I try to do a minimum of 3 rounds or more. 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds or more. And if you get into the 5, 6 rounds or more, you're going to really feel like you're on another planet. You're going to feel all of these amazing hormones rushing through your body. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel incredible. And a lot of cool things could happen. A lot of psychedelic things could happen. So give it a try. See how it goes. Let me know how it goes, and see if you could start to establish a habit with it and do it every day. Maybe in the morning or before you go to bed, or maybe both. Sometimes I do it multiple times a day. And definitely implement the deep abdominal breathing, even if it's only 3-4 times, 3-4 breaths. It's going to feel really good. But try to get in the habit of doing that throughout the day. Find different trigger items. Like I said, when I'm filling up my water, maybe when you're pouring your coffee, take a moment to just take a couple deep abdominal breaths, right? And when I do the deep abdominal breaths, I usually always breathe in through my nose. I fill up my stomach first, and then my chest, and then I usually let it out through my mouth. So there's lots of variations of breath work, especially the deep abdominal breathing. There's different variations of the Wim Hof breathing method and other breathing methods with different names. Some of them have real fancy names, real fancy techniques. Check them out. Look into them. Breath work can be significant in helping you change your life, to get better control of your life, living a more exceptional life. So hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know how your breath work adventure goes. And that's it for Superpower number 2, baby. Thanks for watching. Have an exceptional evening.